NFL Europe is the biggest gamble that I ever took in my career and the best thing that I ever did in my career because I got to go over, got to be a starter for 10 games, got game reps, the practice reps, just all the above. And so I've made a lot of plays. I've made a lot of mistakes. And I learned, I kind of grew up a little bit as a leader, grew up as a quarterback. An incredible experience to play 10 games, incredible experience to see all of London and to play all those teams that we did, you know, Scotland, Barcelona, Dusseldorf, Frankfurt. Like the crowds were awesome, the ones that were there. And just we obviously we lived in Crystal Palace and played at White Hart Lane. And but I was thankful for that league and that opportunity to play.
When you was at Florida State, was Deion there as well?
Yeah, I was there with Deion, made up Deion. Deion knew that the time they were drafting quarterbacks and running backs, like top 4 or 5 picks of the draft. And he came out and made up this nickname Prime Time. Yeah. And he was unbelievable. I think he's the best cornerback to me ever in the game. There's been unbelievable Hall of Famers and all that, but I think he was the absolute best. I got to play with him at Florida State. I got to play with him at Washington, and then played against him a couple times when he was in San Fran and Dallas. And just he would shut down one end of the field. But he's a character, but he brought a lot of heat on the other side of playing defense. He's a great player. Jim Ballard still, but just thankful for Bobby. And then Lionel Taylor was the offensive coordinator. And
he was the OC,
yeah. So he was a mess, man. He kept it funny, man. And all
oh, he did.
Yeah. He let me. I mean, Lionel was pretty funny because he would, he actually would kind of let me call a lot of the plays at different times, and sometimes he'd just talking to that microphone like this. He said, "Brad, just nod your head like I'm giving you the play." And then just tell me it didn't work in the earphones. You know what I mean? Just call your own play. So a lot of times I did.
Oh,
a lot of times I call my own play. So it was interesting.
So, Ballaz in the Middle. We're back, bro.
Yeah, once again, it's been a while. Sorry, people, we've been away for a little bit, but we're here again.
Great.
And, before we even start, don't forget to check us on our social media. That's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And we've got a little Twitter page. We're working on that. We're not at our Brad Johnson stage yet, but we're working to get there.
Okay, so today we have on Ballaz in the Middle an NFL Super Bowl winner, that being Super Bowl 37. This QB has thrown for just under 30,000 yards in his career, amassed 166 touchdowns, played for the following teams. At his collegiate level, he played at Florida State University, then went to the Vikings in the 9th round. I think it was 226th or 27th pick, one of the two. From there, he played for the London Monarchs, who we all should know about. From there, he went back to the Vikings, and he was there for 6 or 7 seasons. And then from there, from my understanding, he went to the Redskins for a short stint. Then he went to Bucks for 3 to 4 seasons. And then after that, he went to the Cowboys. Is that right, bro?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's right, Brad, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay. So we have Mr. Big Brad. Oh, Mr. Big Bad Brad Johnson. We say, Brad, how you good? How you doing? You good?
I'm doing awesome. I appreciate you guys having me on your podcast. I look forward to it. And I got to play with the Monarchs in '95. I know we'll play about it, but I did bring my old helmet. I don't know if you can see it here.
Look,
yes,
there's a football card, a couple football cards, a hat,
okay.
And I also brought my jersey, a London Monarch jersey. So it's right here. So
look at that.
Still got it. I got one jersey hanging up, my away jersey hanging up in the weight room, and then got all this still paraphernalia. So But I appreciate you guys reaching out. We'll have a great time on your show. Thank you.
Thank you,
Brilliant.
bro.
Okay, so Ro, you ready? Let's just get right up in the middle of this, man, because I can't wait.
We might as well. Yeah, let's roll.
Let's
Go
do
on.
it.
You can fire off the first question to him.
Okay. Yeah, so Brad, from my understanding, I didn't know this, man. I didn't really know this. But you're a two-sport player, man. You played basketball and football at Florida State. So what made you decide to choose football over basketball? And why not vice versa?
Growing up as a kid, basketball was my favorite sport. I wanted to be just like Larry Bird. Let me show you my.
Wow.
There's my Larry Bird posters.
I
Okay.
see.
You're actually in my ping pong room and paraphernalia room kind of stuff, game room kind of thing. But I want to be like Larry Bird and Chris Mullin. And basketball is a sport that you can play by yourself out in the backyard, play horse, play one-on-one. And I was the player of the year coming out of North Carolina in high school. And I couldn't decide what sport I wanted to play. I was an All-American in football, but I was a better basketball player at the time in high school than I was a player in football.
Okay.
But I wanted to go to play for a coach named Bobby Crimmins at Georgia Tech. And he asked me something. He said, Brad, what sport are you better at? And what sport do you feel like you have the most long-term in? I said, well, I'm better in basketball now, but I'll be better in football. He says, you need to think long-term, Brad. What can you be a pro in? So I actually chose to go to Florida State. I was a quarterback there at Florida State on scholarship, but then I walked on to the basketball team and ended up played basketball there 2 years at Florida State. And then, had my whole career in football. And then, but eventually I was a better football player than basketball. I was a 6'5" guy in basketball that couldn't jump, couldn't defend anybody. I could shoot, but that was about it.
Could you dunk?
I could dunk, but I had to have a running start. And now I just try to touch the net. So, but it's pretty fun.
So, Brad, you had like a credit card for, yeah? Is that
Yeah. I said credit card, pizza box. I could jump just a little bit over that pizza box. So that was about it. So my jump shot was more like a set shot,
Okay. That's actually wicked.
Okay, so what were the deciding factors why you chose Florida State and not like Georgia Tech or something like that?
Yeah. Well, I knew Georgia Tech was a basketball school, and Bobby Crimmins told me he's bringing in this guy named Dennis Scott, and he only plays 5 guys. Dennis Scott was an All-American, ended up playing like 11, 12 years in the NBA, and so I knew I'd probably sit the bench behind him. But at 6'5", that was kind of where the league was going in the NFL as far as a big prototypical pocket passer. At the time, it was Vinny Testaverde was the guy kind of setting the mold who won the Heisman at University of Miami and first pick of the draft. And I thought it'd be, kind of one of those kind of guys as far as athletic, 6'5", 230 pounds. Just felt like I had more future in football and got to play for the great legend and Bobby Bowden at Florida State. We had incredible teams there.
When you was at Florida State, was Dion there as well?
Yeah, I was there with Dion, made up Dion. Dion knew that the time they were drafting quarterbacks and running backs, like top 4 or 5 picks of the draft. And he came out and made up this nickname Prime Time. Yeah. And he was unbelievable. I think he's the best cornerback to me ever in the game. There's been unbelievable Hall of Famers and all that, but I think he was the absolute best. I got to play with him at Florida State. I got to play with him at Washington, and then played against him a couple times when he was in San Fran and Dallas. And he would shut down one end of the field. But he's a character, but he brought a lot of heat on the other side of playing defense. He's a great player.
Oh, sweet. That's wicked.
That is brilliant, man. That is sweet. But okay, when I think of Deion Sanders, I think of this is my house. When I think of Atlanta, that's what I think of. And I know something, Brad. I want you to correct me on this. So, in the 1992 draft, okay, I know you were there waiting, got to second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and your name wasn't called up. And I read somewhere that you was thinking, well, boy, if you don't get picked in the draft, you're going to be a high school teacher. Is that right? Right. And you got to the 9th round, and I think just before the 9th round, you got a call from Atlanta. Is that right?
Well, it was real close. In the seventh round, a friend of mine from the Atlanta Falcons called me, who was like in the building there. He said, "Brad, if you don't get drafted, we want to bring you as a free agent." That's when I said, I don't want to come as a free agent. I didn't know how the league worked at that time. And so, and then the ninth round, that's when the Minnesota Vikings called and drafted me. So that's kind of how it happened.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Cool.
And I was sitting, and actually when they called, that was when they had the draft was 3 days. I was sitting in my dorm room with my dad, and we've been sitting there watching. I felt like I was better than all these other quarterbacks, and even though I didn't play much in college, and I just felt like I was better than a lot of those guys. And then, but when my name was called out, it came across the ticker, so I didn't really hear it. I didn't really see it, and then we had to wait for him to come across the ticker again, and then about 10 minutes later, I get a call from Denny Green, the head coach. He said, "We drafted you in the ninth round, 227th pick." So it was just very surreal. Just me and my dad sitting in the dorm room by ourselves, and it was pretty cool.
What did that feel like? Oh, sorry. What is, I mean, I don't know what that feels like, but what does that feel like? Just knowing that, you got that opportunity with an NFL team to go and showcase your skills. What does that? How does that feel, man?
Opportunity is incredible, just like you said. And what you don't realize is how many great players out there. Like, we're just thinking quarterback position. Well, the linebackers, the safeties, the running backs, the left tackles, the defensive linemen. Like, it's just so many players out there. So it's just hard to get drafted. It's hard to get into a camp. But when you get in there, then you got to prove your worth. And so it's incredible, just honored to say I was drafted. But then the work comes in, learning a playbook and upping your game to get to that, to make a team. You have to make the team. And so just, you got to be good, but you got to have some breaks along the way. And hopefully the guy that drafted me actually recruited me in high school in 1987. I was drafted in 1992, but the guy that drafted me actually recruited me from University of Louisville named Jack Burns, who had just kept up with my career and took a chance on me because he knew that relationship we had back when I was in high school. He saw me play football, saw me play basketball. So you never know who's watching and whose eyes are on you. So don't ever burn bridges, and just, be the best you can be.
On that one, because you kind of opened the door for it, Brad, is the reason I think he took the gamble on you. Because I remember when you was at the Monarchs, when everyone's going back to their dorms, you was in the weight room doing your little extra work, working out while everyone else was trying to go and do their own thing, but you're still in there doing, putting in the extra work to become better. So that's probably one of the reasons why, he gave you that try. He saw your work ethic. He thought, I'm going to go with someone that's going to put in the time no matter what to get better in order to survive in this game. But on that one, so when you go in at that, you got drafted, in the ninth round, is it, do you sign a contract or is it still up, how does it work, to be fair?
Yeah. So the contract's out there. So basically, when you get drafted, first round, second round, third round, now I think there's only 7 rounds. There was 12 rounds at that time. And so really, they draft you. And then the contract, as far as the amount of money or whatever, it's kind of almost slotted. First round, second round, third round. It's almost like a pyramid. It kind of goes down drastically from first round to ninth. Yeah, it's a nosedive where I was going. But I think my bonus was, I think I got $10,000 for my bonus, So I was just grateful to just get that opportunity. That's the big deal. And so my dad taught me a saying, it's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So you got to be ready for whenever that moment is coming. You just don't ever know. So, so you get drafted, and then you go straight to a mini camp, and then through the month of May and June for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then late July, then there's the training camp, and at that time they had 4 preseason games, and I was just dying for any snaps in practice. Not alone, I got no first team reps for 3 years at the Minnesota Vikings. No first team reps, and no game action either. So a lot of my time was spent lonely, throwing into a net or throwing to receivers after practice and those kind of things. So that's why when I came to London, I was just dying for an opportunity to play. So thankful for the league when it happened.
Wow. So you was there with Dante Pepper was there, right? Was he?
That was, well, when I got drafted. this is the second time. So when I first got drafted, there was Rich Gannon and Wade Wilson. And then the next year they brought in Jim McMahon. And then the year after they brought in Warren Moon. So I was around three great legends as it was, or four great legends. And then when I came back to Minnesota, then there's Dante Culpepper, like 10 years later.
I mean, did those guys, I mean, they brought in caliber QBs, man, like Warren Moon, like you're talking about. Did those guys work with you though? Did they actually take you under their wing and try and bring you up, or was it more of a competition thing where they kept all the knowledge to themselves?
No, those guys were the starters. So it wasn't really an opportunity like we're competing against each other. It wasn't that. I was more like just trying to learn the playbook, just physically get ready for that next level of what NFL football was. So I had a lot of learning to do. And so really I was the third QB just trying to be groomed. And so there was a working relationship as it went on. So, very rarely is it really just a true competition in the NFL. Usually it's a hierarchy, whether you're first round pick or whether you have a lot of money in your salary, or usually for a guy to get a chance to play quarterback, you either got to be drafted high, or you need a guy to get injured, or you got to be in a contract year and just kind of hit. And for me, later on in my career, that's kind of what happened. But I was thankful for all those guys. Those guys impacted me. I saw the way they worked. Yeah. Rich Gannon ended up being an MVP later on in his career. We played against each other in the Super Bowl. Jim McMahon had won the Super Bowl. Warren Moon's Hall of Famer. Like, it's incredible. We can go through it later on, but I had Randall Cunningham's MVP and Dante Culpepper's MVP.
Randall, damn.
Yeah, Jeff George, his first pick of the draft. And the list goes on of all the guys I got to play with as quarterback. So it's competitive, but sometimes you're not competing against each other. It depends on where you're.
So I guess it's different at quarterback level to a DB or wide receiver level. You're competing against each other. Would you say that?
I would say that's very true at the NFL level. College, there's a little bit more competition. Sometimes it's already set, it's already done too. But NFL level, usually there's a starter, and then the other positions, there may be a starting cornerback like Dion that's got the job, but the rest of them, you're kind of competing every day.
So Minnesota assigned you to the World League. Well, let's just call it NFL Europe from now. Yeah. So they assigned you to NFL Europe to give you an opportunity to play football, showcase your skills, and gain more experience, I guess, at a professional level, right? What was that process like? Did you have the opportunity to say, no, let me just stay at Minnesota, let me work in the pre-camps, let me go and lift, and just wait for the season, or was it compulsory that you had to go to NFL Europe and in London Monarchs?
I asked to go to go play in the NFL Europe. I needed a chance to play. I needed game reps. I needed reps to be as a starter, all the above. So the fortunate part for me, honestly, I'd been in Minnesota for 3 years, so I knew that system. So it wasn't I had to go. I didn't have to learn. I could afford to miss the mini camps in the spring, where other quarterbacks that went to other teams, they missed the mini camp reps and didn't really know their system. So for me, going to NFL Europe is the biggest gamble that I ever took in my career, and the best thing that I ever did in my career, because I got to go over, got to be a starter for 10 games, got game reps, the practice reps, just all the above. And so I made a lot of plays. I made a lot of mistakes. And I learned, I kind of grew up a little bit as a leader, grew up as a quarterback. Incredible experience to play 10 games, incredible experience to see all of London and to play all those teams that we did, Scotland, Barcelona, Dusseldorf, Frankfurt. Like, the crowds were awesome, the ones that were there. And just obviously we lived in Crystal Palace and played at White Hart Lane. But I was thankful for that league and that opportunity to play.
I'm impressed, man. You remember a hell of a lot. You remember a hell of a lot.
Yeah, no doubt. It was very impactful for me, and a few quarterbacks that had success in that league, obviously with Kurt Warner and John Kitna and Jay Fiedler, and there's a bunch of other guys that kind of kept their jobs alive in the NFL, but it wasn't necessarily a recipe for success either to come back, because you had to earn your proof, earn it when you came back. But that league was awesome. And, looking back, some of the players we had, we had a lot of guys have kids that go on to make it to the NFL themselves. And I think LeVar Ball was on that team. He was our tight end,
That's what he said,
He tells us how great he was still. So but I played with Michael Tidley, been great friends with him. Just there are a lot of great players and great coaches over there. So pretty cool experience.
Good. So I got one for you, Brad. You had an opportunity to play in the NFL. Well, you played for several teams. Which would you say would be the best team that you play for? Out of those seven, I know you went to Minnesota twice, but which team do you prefer the most, and the system that worked, better for you?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to lead three different organizations to playoffs: the Vikings, the Redskins, and then which are the Commanders now. Depending, I don't know what their name's going to, and then obviously the Buccaneers. So, and then I finished my career in Dallas, which I didn't really play that much, but I'm thankful for all three of those teams. I had great experiences, all of them, to be honest with you. And I played 9 years in Minnesota, 2 years in Washington, 4 years in Tampa, and 2 years in Dallas. But, obviously winning a Super Bowl in Tampa, that's what I'm going to always be. That's why you have the banner in the back. You know what I mean? Because that was where we reached the pinnacle of all the games. But then the friendships that we had, especially in Minnesota, because of the 9 years there, was pretty incredible too. So it's all a blessing, all fortunate. But I loved my experience at all four places, and obviously won a Super Bowl in Tampa. But I thought there were 3 or 4 other times, honestly, that we had chances to win Super Bowls. But it tells you just how good your team has to be. Yeah. You need a break. You got to have some luck. You got to get hot at the right time. I mean, just because you have great talent doesn't mean you're going to win it. It just takes everything at the right time.
Yeah, the cohesion. Yeah, definitely, without a doubt.
So, Brad. So, in my experience working with the London Monarchs coaches were very different to working for coaches from my previous local amateur team. The then British and European champions, who were the London Olympians. That's where we came from, right?
Right.
In my opinion, and my experience working with the London Monarchs coaches must have been very different to yours. Okay, you being the starting QB of the team, it being planned for you to be taking the majority of the reps that year. What was it like working with Bobby Hammond? A coach in his first year, being a head coach. What was it like working with him, comparing to someone like Denny Green and those guys?
Yeah, it's really interesting the league, because the league went away like in 90. So when I came back,
it went away in 92.
92.
Yeah.
So when I came over back in 95, at that time the Monarchs were playing at Wembley Stadium, and we came back. We're playing at White Hart Lane. So when they won the World Bowl, there was 90,000 people at the game. Correct. We came to White Hart Lane the first game. I think we had like 5,000 people. It's kind of like, oh, the Monarchs are back. The NFL Europe is back. So, and the league was different. The team was different because you had 30 players, 30 American players. You had 8 from the particular, whether London players, those, and you had 8, not foreigners, but 8 from those, so you had 38 players on the team, where in the NFL you had 46 to 53. But the coaches it was pretty cool experience for those guys too, because they were former head coaches or coaches in the NFL. Then kind of this was a second tour for them, still coaching in the spring. So I'm thankful for Bobby for giving me that chance to be the starter and play. And we had Jim Ballard and Kevin McDougal were the other quarterbacks, and great friendships, and stay in touch. I still stay in touch with Jim Ballard still, but just thankful for Bobby. And then Lionel Taylor was the offensive coordinator, and
he was the OC,
he was a mess, man. He kept it funny, man. And all
he did.
Yeah, he let me. I mean, Lionel was pretty funny because he would. He actually would kind of let me call a lot of the plays at different times. And sometimes he'd just talking to that microphone like this. He said, Brad, just nod your head like I'm giving you the play. And then just tell me it didn't work in the earphones. You know what I mean? Just call your own play. So a lot of times I did. A lot of times I call my own play. So it was interesting.
Oh, that's actually that's good to hear. That's wicked. But he was a hell of a character.
He was, and he could play basketball too. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yeah.
But he went 1-on-1 with LeVar, and they bet money on it. They went 1-on-1 in the gym. Yeah. I don't know if you guys remember that.
No, I don't remember that. I know. I remember seeing him shoot hoops, but I don't remember that. Oh wow. Yeah, he was a character. God
I
bless
just,
him.
I just remember LeVar Ball telling me he was the backup tight end to Michael Tilley. And he was, I mean,
Yep.
he was a
He's
stud
yoked.
now. Like,
He
good
was
gosh.
yoked up. Yeah.
But I just remember him saying he's going to be famous one day. He's going.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always holding court. How he's going to be famous, and I'm like, okay, you know what I mean. And then all of a sudden, he does. He becomes the, the big baller brand with his two kids and stuff. But it was the laughs, the characters over there was still we're talking about 30 years later.
Exactly. Brad, so I'm going to take you back to Atlanta when we all got selected and we flew back over to the States for a camp. Our practice facilities were the Atlanta Falcons, remember?
Right.
And I remember, I was telling Raul this yesterday actually. That man, you're a stellar guy, man, because I remember going through like trying to learn this playbook, and this playbook was like Chinese to me, man. I didn't understand red, blue, and the formations. I weren't quite too sure. And I could run the rock, I could catch the rock, but me coming into playing at that level was a culture shock, and it impacted my once. I've never been around QBs like 6'4", 6'5". I've never been around linemen which are 280, 300 pounds, like 6'4", 6'5". I never been around that type of stuff. So it was a bit intimidating at first. And I'll never forget, Brad, man, there was one time, I think it must have been like in week 3, leading up to the preseason game. And at the end of practice, you go, Hutch, let's go, man. And you took me through the passing tree, right? From the backfield. So you took me through fan routes, wide routes, arrow routes, corner routes. And you worked with me for like 10 to 15 minutes after every practice for about 5 times back to back. Brad, you didn't have to do that, man, but you did. And you know what? That really got me in my heart. So I just want to say thank you for that, man, because you didn't have to do that. Yeah. You were a starting QB. I would expect something like that from Kevin or one of the backups, but you were the starting QB, and then you did some reps with me. And I'm telling you, by the third time we did it, we then had Tony Brooks staying back after. We had Al Wooten staying back after, and all the other backs now started like coming to like steal reps and work with us and blah blah blah. But yeah, I just want to give you kudos for that, man, because you didn't have to do that, but you did. So I appreciate that, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. I just remember the whole group. I can't say we had a lot of success as far as winning, but what I remember was the hard work was there, the dedication was there, the team was there, and I just remember like, just like you were grateful for opportunity, I was grateful too at the same time. Just for that moment of like, hey, we're trying to get better, we're trying to win, we're trying to keep our careers going on. So it's pretty cool time,
Yeah, I guess that's the reason why he went on to do bigger and better things. He stayed in and did the extra work. And it showed. It showed big time. We was talking about this yesterday. Like when I played, you're down to injuries. It's shoulder, neck, whatever. Hitting hard and blah blah blah. But as for you as a pocket quarterback, what major injuries did you have and that you struggle with, and how was your rehab to get back into fitness, back to fitness again? How long? Yeah, right. How long did it take you to get back?
Yeah, playing football, it's not a matter of if you're going to get hurt; it's a matter of when you get hurt, and that's kind of like riding a bull in the rodeo. It's going to happen. Yeah. I had two foot surgeries, 2 broken feet. 2 broken ankles. I had a broken thumb, broken pinky. Had a major neck surgery. I lost all my hand strength from down. I've had 3 knee surgeries. I just had a knee replacement about 3 months ago from all those effects. So the injuries, the surgeries, I broke my jaw. I couldn't speak for 6 weeks, was wired shut. So all those things are just like, know what you're signing up for. So I always kept myself in, as great shape as I could be in. Some guys are more fortunate than others as far as not getting hurt or missing games or seasons, those kind of things. And it's kind of the luck of the draw. But yeah, it's a physical sport. And there's a reason why you wear a hard helmet and a mouthpiece and rib pads and the whole know what you're signing up for, especially as it goes on at the, college and pro level. It's a little bit different impact than it is at the youth and the high school level.
Would you say like the college level? I mean, this is how I used to see it. I felt like they were absolute animals in college because they're trying to prove to go to the next level. Did it ease off once you got to the next level, or did they still hit as hard as in the NFL?
The NFL game's faster. It's way faster. It is bigger than college. Okay. So the best college team is not going to compete with the worst team in the NFL. It ain't happening. So there's a big jump going to the pros. The greatness of pro coaching, they don't really they're not trying to wear you out.
Right.
They're not we're going to collide and practice every day. We're playing bull in the ring. Like, it's about getting better. It's about keeping the players healthy. You don't practice in full pads every day. Probably practice in full pads one time a week compared to in high school and college 4 times a week. Like, the hitting is kind of thud instead of tackle. It's kind of, sometimes you just wear helmets and no other pads. Like, it's about maintaining and giving guys careers. In college, I mean, they treat you like dog meat sometimes. I mean, to be honest with you, like, it's just they hit way too much. And like, there's another guy, if one guy gets hurt, we'll bring the next guy in. The pros, you can't get guys hurt because of the amount of money and the longevity of careers taking place. So it's a big jump, not only athletically, but then also the amount of plays and systems and schemes that go on at the next level. So it's you gotta be smart, gotta be tough, and the best of the best make it.
And as you're just saying about the difference between the pro, is the playbook pretty much the same, or just a different language, or is it completely different from college to pros?
Yeah, every playbook is different from each team. It's all different ways to call plays and those kind of things. There's more that goes into the pros because of the amount of time that you have. In college, you're just, there's big playbooks, but you're going to school every day. You don't have, what changes in the pros more than anything is the amount of plays and things that are changed on a weekly basis. So you have kind of your set plays, but then you're always tinkering with the formations, the motions, the personnel groupings, all those kind of things. You have more time to, add and splice and those kind of things in the pros compared to college.
Okay. Right.
Okay. So the road to the Super Bowl, man, because I want to get onto this subject, man. Practicing with those like now Hall of Famers, man, John Lynch, Warren Sapp, Rondé, did that help you during that year practicing against a defense like that to help yourself get better in that year to get to the playoffs and then eventually win the Super Bowl?
No doubt about it. In Tampa, we had one of the greatest defenses of all time. Obviously, you got 4 guys that made the Hall of Fame, and maybe the 5th, and Simeon Rice. So we had a great defense. They did it for a long time. It's interesting. We kind of worked against each other in the offseason, whether it's the mini camps and then training camp. You're best on best. But when the season takes place, then you end up going against a lot of scout team work. Yeah. But I mean, when you bring that intensity every day, the level of, you got to bring your game up to this level to keep it, we're going to have a chance to win. And can we win consistently? Can we get to the playoffs? Can we make a playoff run? So, but our team was loaded on offense too in Tampa. I mean, Keyshawn Johnson and Keenan McCardell and Joe Jurevicius and Michael Pittman and Michael Allstott. Like, we had a lot of guys who were Pro Bowl players that just don't get talked about because we had such a great defense. But it was incredible amount of talent and players on both sides.
And you're going to mix Warwick Dunn in there too, right?
Yeah. Warwick Dunn, he was on that Super Bowl team. He actually left the year before, went to Atlanta. But and then he went to Atlanta, then came back after I got done. But I played with Warwick one year. When I was there, it was just when we won it was Michael Allstott and Michael Pittman.
Okay. So who was that running back, man, at Scotland in 2000? Nice running back, and he went to Tampa. Number 27. You know who I'm talking about?
Aaron Stecker.
Aaron Stecker.
Yeah, Stecker was there. Yeah, he was on that team too. Yep. Right. He was on that team too. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Where was he from? Nice. Where was he from?
He played in Scotland.
Yeah, so when the Monarchs finished in '98, I went up to Scotland and played at Scotland. He was the starting back in Scotland. Absolute great player.
Yep, great player.
He's the way he I wouldn't say he was fast, but the way he read the plays, and he would cut at the right time. He didn't have like blazing speed, but the way he read the game was unreal. His movement was just beautiful.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I want to ask this question about Super Bowl. So you won this, you got into the Super Bowl against the Raiders, and you won that game. But what are the main memories? What are the things that really stand out to you? Going through that Super Bowl experience and then winning it too.
Yeah, when we played in it, there was only 1 weekend between the championship game and the Super Bowl. Usually there's 2 weeks, and for some reason there's only 1 week, so it was a fast week. I ended up having to get 20 tickets, which they only give you 2. So I had to get 20 tickets to come to the game at hotels, plane rides. I mean, you need someone to help you out with all that. And then, but I just remember going to the game. Usually, take a bus ride, and there's the police escort. But when we went, it was in San Diego. There were 6 lanes on this right side and 6 lanes on the left side. There were no other cars. It was like the president is coming to town. It was just very eerie. And then when you come out for warm-ups, you're just like, you almost got to control your breathing. It can be too much. And I remember Celine Dion singing God Bless America, and the Dixie Chicks were singing the national anthem. And here I am standing on the sidelines, and it was Don Shula and Bob Greasy and Larry Zonka. They had the perfect season in Miami in 71, 72. And all your life you've been at home, having chips and dip and at some Super Bowl party. Yeah. And the next thing you know, here we are. I'm sitting there, you know what I mean? The world's watching. And so it's a lot of stuff is going on, all the hype behind it. But then when the game takes place, it's just another game. But then when the game is over, it's a big deal. Confetti's falling. We're playing the song "We're the Champions of the World." You're holding up a Lombardi trophy. And I'm saying I'm going to Disneyland with my son Max, who's 2.5 years old, and my wife Nikki, who's 7.5 months pregnant, with the other son Jake, and just an incredible experience, And until you go through it, you'll never understand the pressure, the hype, everything that goes with it before and after. The ones that win it, they'll tell you it's the best days of their life. The ones that lose it, they'll say the game's overhyped. But it's not. It lives with you for a lifetime. It really does. But so grateful for that experience. For me, there's 35 quarterbacks that have won a Super Bowl, and 31 of us are still living. And it just, so when you think about how many presidents have been in the United States, there's been 40, I think we're 47 now, somewhere there. And I think the Masters champions, there's like 68 Masters champions. There's 125 Kentucky Derby winners, but 31 quarterbacks are still living. So it's pretty incredible, small group.
Yeah.
But you got to have a great team. Got to have guys that become legends that are, Hall of Famers. It takes something special to happen. And just fortunate I was able to be a part of one team that did it.
You're one of the elite, definitely, man. You can say you've done it. Yeah. No one can take that away from you, man. Well deserved.
It's pretty cool.
And did you get to go meet the president to pick up your ring?
We didn't. There was something that took place that year, so we didn't get to take a trip to the White House. We didn't get to do it. Something happened that year, and but the ring ceremony that took place, we were kind of at our tables, and then they have the waiters come out to you. They make a special presentation. They show it kind of up on a big screen of what's happening, how they made the ring, but they didn't quite show it to you. They did everything except till it got to the point, and then the waiters came out carrying a tray of big boxes. And so you open up the box and there's the ring. It's the shiniest thing you've ever seen in your life. And it's heavy. It'll drop you down. But no, it's just incredible. It's emotional when you get to, finally put that ring on.
But he's talking about the Super Bowl. And I've read on as well that you went to 2 Pro Bowls. What is that like? I know it's a whole fun. It's supposed to be all fun and blah blah blah. But what's the atmosphere like that? At a Pro Bowl?
at that time, the Pro Bowls were played after the Super Bowl.
After the Super Bowl.
Now they do the guys
Before,
in the
right?
Super Bowl. They do it before, and it's almost turned into a flag football game kind of thing. But when I went over there, I mean, now you're playing. It's the best of the best.
Yeah.
The game doesn't compare to the Super Bowl. Okay.
Right.
It does not compare. It's more of an enjoyment kind of thing. And then there's a game that took place, and it kind of turned into a flag football thing later. But the whole week, everybody's staying at a hotel. It's heavily guarded. So, after the practice in the morning, you're hanging out by the pool with a lot of the legends that you admired on TV and played against on TV, and some of the hatred guys that you hated, the Ray Lewis's and Deion Sanders and Jerry Rice's of all the other teams. Now you're kind of hanging out with them, and they're not so bad. You kind of make relationships, make friendships. Have a few beers to cheer along the way too. You know what I mean? So it's an incredible experience though.
Oh, that's good, man. That's good. I like that.
Okay, so let's change lanes slightly, because I'd like to talk to you about the safety protocols within the game. So, what's your view around, like, I think it really pivoted like 2013, 2014 with regards to the safety protocols put into the game with regards to brain trauma. What's your views on that, Brad? And I know you've got two boys that are at Texas A&M. What did that have any impact on you making a decision for your boys to go and play football?
I think any sport you play, whether it's soccer or whether they call it football, but soccer or cricket or gymnastics or horseback riding or any sport you play, it can be dangerous. Okay, that comes with the territory of it. So I love playing football. I didn't really get major injuries until later in my career, to be honest with you, into the pros. But there's a reason why in football you wear a mouthpiece, a hard hat, shoulder pads. It's a physical sport. But I think the greatness of sports, especially at an early age, is learning the right techniques, having a good coach, stance, alignment, how to hit, how to keep your head up, how to tackle correctly, how to block correctly. And injuries are going to be a part of the game. But I do think some of the rules are necessary. Whatever they're looking at to protect the players, that should come first and foremost over some crazy collision that takes place that could, some injury that doesn't need to take place. Injuries are going to happen, but things that can be eliminated, and those things need to take place. The rules have helped quarterbacks as far as protecting the quarterbacks, as far as the way they can hit them. Some of the rules on the defensive backs covering the guys, they kind of get free releases a little bit more than they used to. So it's a physical sport, but I think protecting players, it's a money-making machine now, the NFL or sports. And so I think you got to protect the players, keep the best players out there that are possible. I mean, no one, if you're the New York Jets, you want to see Aaron Rodgers play when he comes to town. And so you want to keep those guys healthy.
You think they would have had if they brought these policies in the noughties, do you think that would have had an impact on your career? So if they brought it in like 2000, do you think you would have played for longer than the age of 40?
I played 17 years, so I don't think it would help the longevity of my career. I think it would have helped me as far as the numbers go. as far as the way I walk now, and kind of walk with a limp, I don't think I'd walk quite as bad as I did back in the day. So, but no, I'm thankful for the rules they're taking place. They're necessary. Now you find it in the XFL and USFL. They're changing some rules in the punting game, changing rules in the kickoffs, and it's we need to adjust. And those are necessary, but the game that takes place on the field is still going to be the same brand. But anything to protect these players at all costs is crucial.
I mean, it's the same thing in Europe. They got a league there that the kickoff is completely. When I first saw it, I was like, "What is this?" The kickoff is absolutely completely different to what I was used to. It was hard to watch a kickoff, and then you barely got any movement. It was like. Yeah. They pretty much kicked it and they was already on you. So I can understand that point because the amount of people, and it happened to me in a tackle on kickoff, later on in my career. I've come from the left-hand side, cutting across the field, and I've taken out I've tackled the guy, but the way I've come across, he's rolled underneath his and you know, blew his knee out. That's because the angle I was coming at full speed, he didn't see me, and the way I tackled him, you know, he destroyed his knee. So I get it. You know, you're trying to play a game that you love, but you want to play it for as long as possible without those major injuries. But like I said, it is part of the game.
Yep.
So Brad, man, you've in your career, man, you've played with some Hall of Famers, man. I'm talking about at the wideout position, like Randy Moss, Chris Carter. I mean, the list goes on. Which receivers in your tenure stand out the most to say you really enjoyed working with these receivers? You got on the same page really quickly. You know, these guys are your go-to guys. Which are your top three, man? Which are your top three?
Let me just tell you a few guys I play with so they know, okay? So I threw Chris Carter his 100th touchdown pass, threw Tim Brown his 100th touchdown pass, threw Randy Moss his first touchdown pass.
Wow.
Keenan McCardell, Keyshawn Johnson, Joe Jaravicious. I mean, the list goes, Terrell Owens, Jason Witten, Larry Centers. Those guys, they all called over 800 catches in their career. Andre Reed threw his last touchdown pass, who played with Buffalo. You know, I had him in Washington. So, you know, I think what stands out, obviously, all those guys are Hall of Famers. They all made the Hall of Fame. What stands out between the Hall of Famer, a Pro Bowler, and just great players, because there's so many great players that don't get there. Two things. I do think Chris Carter had the best hands ever, especially in my era. Not even close. He was unbelievable. Sideline catches, end zone catches, and then just catching balls in traffic. Phenomenal. He could catch the ball one-handed. Everybody sees Beckham. Those kind of guys do it now. But Chris was incredible at that. Randy Moss, I thought, was the best deep ball guy ever. Just deep ball. Just throw it as far as you can and could catch it over people. Terrell Owens, he caught over 140 and 50 touchdowns, you know what I mean? But I think the difference is longevity, being able to play that long, stay that healthy. And all those guys were tough and they were smart and they loved the game. They were there. They were available every week to play that long and to put up those kind of numbers. But I would say those guys were smarter, tougher, and obviously Hall of Famers.
I hear that. So when it's I think was it 2007 or 2008? Was that your last year?
My last 2 years in Dallas. Yep.
Yeah. Was that the right time for Brad Johnson to walk away from the game?
Yeah. I was 40 years old at the time. If I was healthy, I would have tried to play another 5 more years. I love playing the game. I love the off season. I love the grind. I love the work. I love the training camps. I love what it took each week to get ready for a game on Sunday afternoon. I loved it. But that time I lost my arm. I had nothing left in my shoulder. My elbow started hurting. My knees. I couldn't run anymore. I mean, we do runs on Monday after the games on Sunday. I couldn't even run anymore. I would just get on the treadmill and walk. That was my workout. So I was done physically at that time. I was done. So then. What helped me get away from the game was physically I could not play anymore. So it's kind of an easier transition of getting out of the game of football instead of I'm trying to hang on and play one more year. I was done. I was just done at that point.
But so like I just me and House had the conversation. Now my body was ready, but I wasn't mentally ready to walk away from the game. When that happened, like when you're 14, you said, "Okay, I'm done." Was you mentally ready to walk away, or did you think, "Oh, I just wish I could have had a little bit longer"? Because I struggled years after finding things to do, and I miss, the brotherhood, the team, that aspect. I was like lost,
Yeah.
I was jumping from sport to sport, trying to find something along those lines. How was it for you when you literally hung those boots up and walked away? Did you struggle? How was the transition?
Yeah, you bring up a great. You could do 10 different podcasts on what you're talking about here. But it's when you first get out, you like I couldn't play, so that helped me physically. But I was also like, what am I going to do next?
Yeah.
What can I do next? Like
exactly.
My whole job has been football every day since I was little kid, and you're in your dream. So It took me I had a couple months where I'm like, what am I doing? But I was fortunate enough, I got into coaching. So I started coaching youth sports, football, basketball, baseball, coach high school sports, football, basketball. I just got really involved, coaching a lot of kids, helped a lot of quarterbacks on the side. I wasn't even trying to make money. I was just trying to stay involved. And I found my passion was just more about helping others and helping others succeed at whatever level they can become, whether it's a fifth grade basketball team or a ninth grader trying to make the JV team, and not alone trying to win a state championship, those kind of things. So, or get guys good enough at quarterback to get scholarships to play in college. So, I found myself getting busy. I had to get busy, but otherwise, it's definitely a nosedive. What's next? How can I stay involved? But I still watch football. Watch college football on Saturdays and watch pro football on Sundays. I wish I could play, but when I look at I can't do it anymore. You know what I mean? So just really try to find the greatness of others now.
Okay. No, thank you, because like I said, it was a struggle for me for years.
And it's the truth. I mean, it's you find a lot of guys honestly go through depression, like deep depression, because you know what? You can't. There's nothing that replicates a locker room. There's nothing that replicates playing in front of crowds of people. There's nothing that replicates that enjoyment of winning a game and hugging somebody that you really don't know, but it's that feeling that we accomplished something together as a team. Your blood, sweat, and tears. Those are real things. And so it's tough. It's tough of something that's forgotten, but that's why you got to make the most of it when you get those chances and be thankful for those opportunities and look back, and then we can all tell stories and have fun with it.
I appreciate that, Brad, because like I said, it was a struggle, and it seemed like you found something that was easy to help you transition. Probably when people hear that, they would try to find that when they decide to come out, to get out, because it is so important that they don't go down that slippery slope. They find something that they're passionate about and can live on and do something else, But so many people don't know how to do that, because it's not talked about. They're just left alone to go and deal with it by themselves. That's another reason why we started this as well, so we could help them and guide, young players. This is how we did it. We're giving you the information, putting the information out there, so when it's their time to hang the boots up, they're getting themselves ready. Instead of those, Friday night lights, those lights go out. That's your last game. What do I do? You know what I mean? But we're trying to help, people to understand, find something that you're passionate about, because that day will come.
It's coming.
I think people don't understand. They think we can play forever, and we don't think about that. But you have to start thinking about it at a certain point in your life, in your career.
Yeah. It's you feel like Superman. You're out there with a cape on, and it's incredible. But whether it's injury or whether it's just the game, someone you replaced, or whether it's father time that gets you, but it happens in the military a lot of times to those people too, of depression and but eventually there's an ending. There's going to be an ending. You're told about it, but you don't know everything's going to end until it happens to you individually, and then hopefully you got family or someone that can help you get along. But you said the greatness of it is finding the passion to carry on some other, something else you want to be to be a part of.
It's about trying to fill that void. Trying to fill that void, because it's a massive void that you leave when you walk away from the game. My narrative on this is, when I walked away frustrated, and I walked away frustrated because mentally I wasn't ready to leave the game. Physically, I wasn't ready to leave the game. I probably could have played about another 3-4 seasons in a row, you reckon?
Yeah, definitely.
I could have played about another 3 or 4 seasons, but I think mentally, just the frustrations of not getting enough game time, and that's what it is. I'm going to tell you straight like how it is. I mean, I went to Scotch Claymores from 2001 to 2003, so me and Ro played out our last years there. And we had the backfield was absolutely great, man. We had Ken Simonton and Maurice Hicks. These guys went back to the league and hung around for at least Maurice hung around for another 5 to 7 years. And Simonton, I think he hung around for about 2 or 3 years. But these guys were absolute ballers, absolute great guys. And trying to get game time with these guys. I did get game time, but at that point in my career, I was mentally stable. I was physically stable. I knew where I was going. I had confidence. My shoulders had dropped. The coaches had they had confidence in what I was doing. It was great. But it's just getting on the field to do it was challenging. And I turned around and walked away from the game because I had enough. I was 32 at the time, playing against guys that were 22, 23 at the time, and I was doing exactly what my peers were doing, but I didn't have that NFL logo on my chest from Buffalo Bills or from the Chicago Bears. And I don't know if you remember this or not, Brad, but you had like priorities. You had like A's, B's, C's, and D's, and those are the gradings of allocated players in the league. And so the two backs that I was working with, they were both A's. So but again, at the end of the day, these guys, they were great. They were great guys. They weren't trying to like push me out or anything like that. It was a coaching decision in regards to them getting game time. Their NFL teams wanted to see them get game tape, and that's how it kind of panned out for me. But I had a great time. I'm not gonna like throw too much salt on it. My years playing NFL Europe and being around NFL Europe for 5 years was the best football I've ever been around. And rubbing shoulders with the likes of yourself and other players, I couldn't mirror that experience anywhere else. I couldn't mirror that. I couldn't mirror it anywhere else. And if I could do it again,
yeah.
There was one mistake I made. I had an opportunity to actually get a workout at Florida State University.
Yeah.
I did.
It would have been the same time he was there.
And it would have been no, it wouldn't have been, because that was 94. That was 1994. Brad was gone by then. Brad was
I got 92. We missed each other a couple years. Yep.
Yeah, and Brad, let me tell you this story quite quick. So I won this opportunity after the Euro Bowl. I was the MVP for Europe, and because of that was an opportunity to go and try out at Florida State. But at the time, I was like going into my 3rd year of my degree. Okay, I knew NFL Europe was coming back around that next year. I knew coaches were looking at me, and the word on the ground was, I stand a pretty good chance of making the team. So I thought, right, let me stay here. Let me get my university from the UK. And let me play pro ball in NFL Europe. Now, if I had a time machine, I would have changed that, and I would have gone to Florida State. Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So Brad, man, listen, man, we've had you for like an hour, man, and listen, if I had my way, I'd have you for another 5. But it's been absolutely great talking to you, my man.
Your TikTok, man. Who does? I know you do. Obviously, you're the main man, but I know you're not the one that's putting the content out. You're creating the content, but someone else is putting it out for you.
This is, you know what? I mean, here's the deal. Here's the deal about TikTok. When the pandemic hit, my kids, they were on TikTok. I'm like, what are they doing? What is all this stuff? So I got on there. So they started doing dances. I said I couldn't dance. So I said, you know what? I can make these videos because of football and basketball. So I started playing around with them. And then I get out there now. And some of that stuff is crazy. So all my TikToks, I try to make a sequence of 3, 4, maybe 5 shots in a row, football, basketball, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's first time, first take. It's a lifetime of practice. And sometimes it takes what it takes. Like you'll see me out there sweating like you've never seen before. And I'm trying to actually do one tonight also, but it's crazy. Just trying to come up with crazy ideas and something that maybe someone else could never think about doing or trying to do, because it takes a long time to make some of these shots. But I have fun with it and share it out there with everybody. And so, I've had fun doing it. So it's pretty cool deal. But it's just me, a ball, and a tripod camera. So it's pretty cool.
Okay. Well, at least you're doing it, which is good. Because I was like, Brad, I'm obviously we watched a couple, but it's like, is Brad doing this? Because like you said, you was having trouble with the logging on with computers. Like, nah, it's not Brad.
No, I do it all. I do it all myself. So, but it's just me and the camera, and I'm trying to splice it up. So I have fun with it.
Oh, wicked, brilliant. Well, keep up the good work, man. We do enjoy it. But yeah. On that note, Brad, we do appreciate it, man. And, thank you for taking time out to come and chop it up with us. It has been absolute pleasure, even playing with you and having this opportunity to speak to you today.
Yeah,
and
likewise, guys, man. No, I appreciate it, man. I had an unbelievable time with you guys playing back in '95, but still, I have a lot of laughs and a lot of great memories from then. I still talk about it. So I'm finally glad we kind of, with social media now, we've been able to hook it up. So
yeah, exactly.
the game has really changed from being the exposure going worldwide, especially in London. You used to be, having the NFL Europe team there, then just getting maybe one game a year over there in preseason or something like that. Now you're seeing NFL has a game a week over there in the Wembley Stadium. Eventually they'll have an NFL franchise probably at some point over there.
I think that's their goal. I think that's their plan, to be fair.
It's going to happen. So I think the exposure of just how the game is played, and it's pretty cool to see, you guys, what you guys are doing for just the awareness of football all over the world, not alone right there in London.
We're trying, man. We're trying.
We appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Very good.
Thank you. Well, Rob, it's about that time, right?
It's on that. It really is. On that note, what's the
Good rice, good meat, good God, let's eat.
Let's eat.